Mountain fortifications. Just look at how well camouflaged this thing is. It's just woven into the rocks here. I only saw it very last minute. Well, let's go deeper. Nearly done with this task. It's quite arduous going. Finally made it to one of the highest fortifications in all of Europe. Somewhere there is where we met the first bunker position, the machine gun position. Everybody knows the Dolomites and the Isonzo front and the Italian front from World War I. But this, my friends, forgotten history right there. Mountain fortifications. I know I'm not exactly dressed like a historical gaming nerd right now, but I would like to show you some really, really cool mountain forts. At least I haven't seen them yet, so I want to take you on this day. I'm on the French-Italian border, and these mountains are absolutely full of history. Lots of forts as well, because the French and Italians didn't always get along quite well. I'm gonna cycle up, well, maybe cycle/push up for about 1,300 meters. And then hopefully we're gonna see some cool stuff. And you can join me on the day without the effort. After about 600 meters of climbing on a double track, it's time to put the terrain and especially the track into context. So I've been coming from the side of Italy, which you can see here behind me. And the first thing you might notice is how incredibly open and relatively high alpine this terrain is. So if you're trying to come through here from Italy, you've basically got nowhere to hide. I mean, there's some forestation on some of these steeper sides in that side of the valley, but the side where I am standing, and actually most of this area is without vegetation. It's just simply open grass, meadows, and steep. So this means that one, you're very easily spotted, you have no cover, and then also you're being channeled. So the terrain is literally channeling you. So you can infiltrate with specialized alpine groups, which the Italians and the French have, and had for that matter. But if you're gonna do any kind of significant, meaningful push into opposing terrain, you're gonna need supply and support, which requires vehicles. And vehicles require roads, or at least something that they can ride on. This is so steep and open, often rocky, that you are really channeled and funneled onto these old gravel tracks or onto the main road down there in the valley. Now, the one coming from Italy, even though probably on the GoPro here you can see that we're in the middle of nowhere, this is one of the major passages coming from Italy. This is one of the easier ways to get in. And if you look at the Alpine Arch, there are not many of those big easy ways to get in. So the major calls, like, I'm not going to go too deep into that, but we're in the Ubaye now. Next from here is Briançon. Then another bigger one is Modane. Then you have Bourg-Saint-Maurice, etc., etc. So there's not that many big gates into the Alps where you're not just facing horrendous terrain or incredible high alpine conditions. So these are very, very limited. And the ones that are there are fortified and covered by forts going back hundreds of years. So before even reaching one of these forts, me cycling up here, working hard, looking at this open terrain, I can't imagine what it must be like to try to push through here under, coordinated artillery fire, because that's exactly what would happen to you. They'd be dug in here. They would have all of these places zeroed in. They wouldn't even need to see. It just needs some, there's enemy on that grid, you get hit. That's the reality of it. And I'm very, very, very much aware of this, seeing and feeling how open this is and sweating hard on a high quality double track with a high quality modern mountain bike. This is definitely something to think about. A little bit of traverse again, but you can basically see if it wasn't for this gravel road, there's been no passing this side. Not with vehicles anyway. Ooh, steep. It's a bit airy to my left. Wow, 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 wow. Just look at this massively epic mountain terrain. Just amazing, isn't it? If you look carefully, just nipping out in the sun there on the lower peak, that's one of the forts. If you didn't know, you would barely see it. So well taken up into the color of the rock. And this is one of the forts I'm going to try to visit today. And if you just look at how massive, epic, steep and rugged this terrain is. And then imagine the French and the Italians building forts on these peaks, sometimes up to 3,000 meters high. That's amazing. Everybody knows the Dolomites and the Isonzo front and the Italian front from World War I. But this, my friends, forgotten history right there. Amazing, fascinating. This is exactly what I mean with these single tracks from the agricultural and trading history. Just beautiful, beautiful. This must have been here for thousands of years maybe. And these mountains are just full of them. Living and breathing history. And here I am, 2024, riding a mountain bike. A little bit traversy climbing again, maybe some time for more history. Actually, as a matter of fact, when the Italians declared war in June of 40, trying to tag along with the German success, it took them a bit of time to actually get the offensive in the Alps going. I think it was around the 20th of June that they actually started. Now you have to know that 20th of June, this high in the mountains, quite often still has snow on it. I think it would have been okayish here, but so they started pushing through these valleys, this and other places, often relatively small unit engagements. And the French here in the Ligne Alpine, or Ligne Alpine, the Alpine Line basically, which was somewhat of an extension of the Maginot Line, managed to stop him. They held him up. Punchy. Come on. Yep. So kudos to the French holding these mountain passes. They inflicted quite horrendous casualties on the Italians. My heart also goes out to the Italians, because basically these are just young men who probably love to be in mountains, just like me. And then they're out here. Marmot, see the marmot? Marmot? They're out here fighting each other, dying for politicians like Mussolini. Incredible. Now many of these fortifications go back to way before the extension of the Alpine Maginot. They actually go back sometimes to the 1700s, 1800s, when you go lower down in the valleys, like for example Mont Dauphin, near Giestre. You're gonna find some like built in the Vauban times, star forts. And a lot of these go back to earlier times when France and Italy didn't have their current shape. So for example, the Kingdom of Piedmont, Sardinia, etc. It's a long history. Now when I actually do get to these forts, I think I'm going to switch to voiceover so I can give you guys accurate information. Anyway, this is not meant to be like a super accurate history lesson. This is more like us checking out these mountains, checking out these forts together, being happy that we're at peace. We're now at Point d'Appui, which is an altitude of 2070 meters, and just below me there's a little machine gun outpost, barely visible in the rock, and it looks out to this approach. Let's go in for a little closer look. Just look at how well camouflaged this thing is. It's just woven into the rocks here. I only saw it very last minute. See, maybe I'm gonna be able to get in there. But if you look out just the opposite direction, this gravel track here, this little pass down there would have been covered by this position. Very good field of fire. Very, very well protected. I mean, you'd need like some proper light artillery or heavier just to be able to crack this or even suppress it. And down here just below, oh, let's not follow the machine gun position, we've got this little impromptu wall. Let's have a little look. These are very hard rocks actually. I think this is gneiss or granite. Very hard, compact rock. Then I just go in here. I'm about 1.80 meters, 6 foot tall. This is perfect for me. Just looking out over the pass, even shielded by the terrain quite a bit. Be quite comfortable, only my head exposed. Probably wouldn't last very long under anything more than rifle caliber, but still. I'm standing where probably some poor French sods had to spend long hours waiting, mostly for nothing. Coming onto the roof of this bunker position, let's try to see if I can actually find the entrance. There's a little info sign there. Ah yes, there we go. There we go. Let's get inside. Got a little hole there. Looking out to the other side. Let's get inside. Ooh. Probably gonna be dark. So coming in straight away to my left, looks like a bit of a shelter, and then straight ahead here, it's probably the defensive position covering the rear. So something to sit on here, maybe mount something on top. Looks like a little rifle hole, maybe for optics. And then looking out here, you can see the other side. I'd imagine this would be a machine gun position, probably mounted onto this thing here. It's just looking, must have been optics. Let's go deeper. Well, let's go deeper. Okay, I'm now into the little casemate kind of position. I call it a casemate, probably where people could rest, shelter for a bit. Ventilation. Going deeper into it. And then we come to the position that we were looking at from the front, very front. So this probably, I mean, something would have been mounted here. Probably massive tripod. And then when we look outside, we see the pass. Cool. Anyway, this is very well hidden, very well integrated into the rock. And relatively speaking, this is a tiny defensive structure still. Would probably have been a pretty sizable obstacle to overcome if you're just infantry trying to come at it from the open. Anyway, I'm wasting so much time. Let's go higher, let's go up, let's keep biking. Riding back from the defensive position we just visited, I am now on the Plateau de Malmore, and I'm riding into France from Italy towards the next position, which is called the Fort de Malmore. And the Fort de Malmore played actually a role in World War II in delaying the Italians when they were trying to come through here. It was actually built in the late 19th century, in the 1880s. It was built after the Franco-Prussian War, after, you know, your renewed focus of the French on defense of their borders. So this place actually saw action, and the Italians were successfully delayed by artillery positions like this one, Fort de Malmore. One of the things you should notice is how well integrated, again, this fort is within the mountain itself. So the terrain is part of the fortification. And this is what is so brilliant about all these forts here in the Alps, is the terrain is just part of it. There it is, there it is. You see it? Let's go check it out. Checking it out from up high, you can immediately see this is an older type of construction. It has the moaty kind of wall, and just the terrain itself really shields it from any incoming fire. So this would have been an artillery position, as mentioned before, built in the 1880s. It is privé at the moment, so not sure if I can actually enter it. Let's see what we can see. Since it is private property, I'm not going to enter it, but, you know, well shielded in the terrain. Very, very good fields of fire onto the approaches here. Yes, interesting. We're gonna keep going up, we're gonna keep climbing. This is gonna turn into a hike-a-bike, push-a-bike. Let's try to get to the high forts. You can see the Fort de Viraysse on that high point there, still at Malmore. And this is gonna be quite the mission still. In order to reach it over there, I need to go around this mountain, 600-700 meters up. To reach it, it's gonna be hike a bike, push a bike. Anyway, feeling good, let's do it. There it is. Just a little bit more. This, my friends, this is the French Alps personified. I'm in the middle of a herd, just past the dogs, which can be frightening, but they're just meant to scare you, not meant to hurt you. And just down there, there's the barracks and the forts, and on top of there is the artillery position. This dude here is one of the many people hiking, one of the many GRs. Nearly done with this task. It's quite arduous going, quite hot. How's it going?
Harder.
Hard. It's one of the many dogs here. This is a young one. They bark. Well, just a little longer and we're there. Alright, let's try to find a way around here. Let's go have a little look inside. This is a huge place, it's very sizable. All metal doors. Hope I don't fall through this bridge here. It is quite amazing how quickly this place has fallen into disrepair. This still has some of the wooden paneling. Most of the other buildings don't. There's even still like this little, you can't see, this little latchy thing here. Must have been another one up here. Anyway, the reason I'm surprised that this is in such a bad state is like you would probably imagine this has been abandoned for 200 years maybe, because this was built in the late 1880s. Again, just like the other one. But actually this place was occupied and manned all the way up to World War II. So it was occupied and manned in World War I. Nothing really happened. But then in World War II, this fort and the artillery position, which we're gonna try to get to later, were actually occupied, well, manned, that's a better term, and used as part of the defense against the Italian incursion successfully. So you can see how quickly mountains reclaim this. Obviously, probably locals or hikers burned a lot of the wood. There's not that much left. Spooky, spooky, spooky place. These must be the toilets. Looks like it. Then you can get some barrels underneath. Get the poo-poo. Get rid of the poo-poo. Yes, there we go. Very old shitter. Oof, it's actually still being used. Used by hikers. Just be happy you can't smell video. One dude or dudette was so desperate that the handkerchief was used. Sometimes special forces like to use these things for training. At least they do in Belgium. We have a lot of these forts from the 1880s, 1860s, well, 1800s in Belgium as well. We used to use them in our training when I was in the military. Very cool by the way. It is getting quite late, it's 5:30. And I still have to make my way up there. Luckily the weather is stable. I'm good enough, let's just keep going. Whew. 2 hours after Col de Malmore and about 1,500 meters higher than where I started this morning, I finally made it to one of the highest fortifications in all of Europe. This is Batterie de Viraysse, or Viraysse, I don't know how exactly you pronounce it. Almost 2,800 meters in altitude. And wow, holy expletive. Wow. It is private property. There's this super intimidating fence. There's no way of getting in. Let's have a look if I can see anything around and maybe start preparing to head down, because it's getting late and I'm knackered. Coming around the corner here, there you can see the tiny hamlet. This is direction of Italy, direction of France. Now I'm not going to tell you too much about the history. I've already said quite a bit, you know, late 1800s, manned in World War I, manned in World War II, helped stop the Italians. Maybe we can talk about the armament for a little bit. So obviously, being an artillery position, this thing would have been manned with varying weapons depending on the time when you look at it, from late 1800s to World War II. But it would have been medium artillery. Medium artillery plenty capable enough to reach out quite far and be not so pleasant for whoever's facing it. So all the way down there, this is the major road leading to Italy, and then down there, this meandering rivery thing, somewhere there is where we met the first bunker position, the machine gun position. Once again, Italy. Then all the way down there is the Batterie de Malmore, which could fire in that direction. It's about as old as this thing. And then here we are, Batterie de Viraysse. I'm just happy I'm on a mountain bike. So instead of destroying my knees on the way down, which would take hours, I'm gonna be enjoying 1,500 meters of mostly single track. I'm probably not gonna bore you with that, but hey, if you like this kind of content for this channel, if you like this type of videos, please, let me know with a like and a comment, and then maybe I can make some more. Well, if that's enough for you, see you on the next one. I'm gonna go ride my bike.